Alright, bonsoir. Let's start working on the second part of chapter 11, which is which is going to be all the grammar, okay? So we're going to start with passé composé imparfait, then we'll move to the indirect object pronoun, then savoir and connaître, and I and en. Let's go with imparfait, passé composé. So basically, we're just confronting two tenses that we've already studied. So we use the imparfait for a description, an habitual action. By description, we also mean something like a feeling, you remember? And we use the passé composé for a narration, okay? We use, the imparfait for something habitual, repeated, and the passé composé for something that happened once, or something that happened a set number of times, like it happened 3 times, it happened 5 times, okay? We use the imparfait for things that are ongoing, or things that are no sense, or beginning, or end, and we use the passé composé for actions completed. For example, if you say, the weather was bad, you don't really know when it started or when it ended. Or if you say, she broke the vase, it's an action that is completed. The vase is broken, that's it. We use the imparfait for something that was going on when suddenly something happened. For example, I was showering when the phone rang. I was showering, imparfait, when the phone rang, passé composé. Basically, we use the imparfait for background information and the passé composé for foreground information, if that can help you. Let me tell you exactly the same thing in another way. We have 2 types of verbs. We have action verbs, like to do, to walk, to break, and we have description verbs, like to be, to feel, etc. For action verbs, if things happen one time, you're going to use the passé composé. If they happen several times, you're going to use the imparfait, okay? And then for description verb, you're going to use the imparfait. This rule is true, except for that one case, which is I was jogging, or he was jogging when his phone rang. Background info. He was jogging is background info, and when his phone rang is foreground. That's why it's imparfait and passé composé. But anyway, that can help you decide which verb is imparfait, passé composé. Another thing that can help you describe what is passé composé and imparfait is time markers. Let's go over them. The ones that are imparfait are going to be things more like for things that repeated themselves, whereas passé composé is more like a one-time thing, but numbered time of things. On y va. Chaque semaine, chaque mois, chaque année, le week-end, le lundi, le mardi, tous les jours, le soir, toujours, normalement, d'habitude, en général, généralement, souvent, parfois, quelquefois, de temps en temps, rarement, autrefois. So you see, all that are more like repetitive things in the past. Whereas passé composé are going to be more like one-time thing or a numbered time of things. Une semaine, un mois, un an, un week-end, lundi, mardi, un jour, un soir, soudainement, tout à coup, tout d'un coup, une fois, 2 fois, enfin, finalement, plusieurs fois. Alright, let's look at a text in English and look at all the verbs and decide for each verb, would we put it, if we had to translate it, would we put it at the passé composé or would we put it at the imparfait? Background info, foreground info. So background, imparfait, foreground, passé composé. Every night after dinner, my mother and I would sit at the formica-topped kitchen table. My mother and I would sit. It's something that happened several times, imparfait. She would present new tests. It's something that happened several times, imparfait. Taking her examples from stories of amazing children that she read in Ripley's Believe It or Not or Good Housekeeping Reader's Digest or any of a dozen other magazines she kept in a pile in our bathroom. Did she kept it once or was a habit? It was a habit. Then we use imparfait. My mother got these magazines from people whose house she cleaned. Did she get them once or did she get them constantly? She got them constantly, so it's imparfait. From people whose houses she cleaned. Does she do it once or does she keep doing it? She does it all the time, so it's imparfait. And since she cleaned many of houses each week, imparfait again. It's still background. We had a great assortment. Is it a one-time thing or is it like a general thing? It's a general thing. She would look through them all. It's a general thing. The first night she brought out a story about a 3-year-old. The first night she brought out, it's a one-time thing, passé composé, about a 3-year-old who knew the capitals of all the states. Does he know it once or does he know it all the time? He knows it all the time. That is imparfait. A teacher was quoted as saying that the boy could also pronounce the name of foreign cities correctly. He could. Is it passé composé or imparfait? It's imparfait. It's background information. Okay? My mother asked me, what's the capital of Finland? My mother asked me. She asked it once. It's an action, then it's passé composé. All right, let's keep working. About Tex. When Tex was very small, he lived in the suburbs of Houston with his family. Well, both of them are imparfait, right? It's background info. The little armadillo, curious by nature, always loved. We have always. It has to be imparfait. It's not a one-time thing, it's always. One day, during a walk, he got lost. It's pretty obvious. It says one day. It's a one-time thing. Fortunately, after hours and hours, he found the entrance to the Bush Airport. He found. It's a one-time thing. Fascinated by all the noise and motion, he rushed to the planes. Rushed is going to be passé composé. Then, as he was examining a plane more closely, a man abruptly took him and threw him inside with the baggage. Alors, as he was examining is the background info. When suddenly something happens, passé composé. You remember, it's the same story as he was in the shower, the phone rang. As he was in the shower, imparfait, suddenly something happened, the phone rings, passé composé. So here's the same thing. He was examining, imparfait, a man took him and threw him inside, passé composé. 8 hours later, the plane arrived in Paris, but the plane only arrived once, okay? Passé composé. Tex spent the rest of his childhood in France. In fact, he became 100% French. I'll put passé composé, it's debatable. I think it's because it's a change of state. It's not, he was 100% French, he became. So, because there's a change, I think passé composé is good. When he was an adolescent, he considered himself a disciple of Sartre. Both of them are parfait, right? It's a state. He knew nothing about baseball and he detested everything American. We're going to put imparfait, right? Both of them are state. But in 1998, all of a sudden, his life changed when he discovered, both of them passé composé, that his parents were American. Imparfait. All right, let's go for another one. Once upon a time, there was a dear little girl, imparfait, who was loved by everyone who looked at her, imparfait, but most of all by her grandmother, and there was nothing that she would not have given to the child. Once, she gave once, right? What are you going to put with once? You're going to put passé composé. She gave her little Red Riding Hood. She gave her a little Red Riding Hood of red velvet, which suited her so well, imparfait, that she would never wear anything else. So she was always called Little Red Riding Hood. One day, her mother said to her, one time, passé composé, I'll take great care, said Little Red Riding Hood, passé composé, and gave her hand on it, passé composé. The grandmother lived out in the wood. It's happened several times, right? Half a league from the village, and just as Little Red Riding Hood entered the wood, passé composé, a wolf met her. Passé composé. Okay? One last try. He was thinking about his family, so one of them is passé composé, one of them is imparfait. He was thinking about his family. It's going to be imparfait. When he saw the photo, he thought about his family. That's passé composé. In general, she liked sports cars. Imparfait. When she bought her car, she liked it a lot. When I went to school, I found out I was smart. Passé composé. When I was a child, I knew I would become famous. Imparfait. When I was 10, I wanted to become a dancer. Imparfait. When I entered the club, I wanted to dance, but then got disappointed with the music. Passé composé. Alright, that was a lot of work on passé composé, imparfait. Let's move to indirect object pronoun in the next video.